I don't know if there's anything in there about telling folks about the feedback form.
So just as a heads up, whatever they have set up with on my email account today and then just have for tomorrow, I'm now actually kicked out of the app too, so I don't have any access to my email. So, I have a chat with yes, tomorrow at 2 o'clock. So it should only be minimal time. I am locked out. Yeah, like. Yes. I don't, but it should be like a day that I don't have access to it. So. Yeah.
We will now call to order the September 2nd, 2025 special school board meeting of the Stanwood-Camano School Board of Directors. All four of our directors are present: Director Schreiber, King, Evans, and Murray. Would you please stand for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You have the agenda before you for the September 2nd, 2025 special school board meeting. Are there any changes to the agenda? Is there a motion to approve the agenda for the September 2, 2025 special school board meeting as written?
So moved.
Moved by Director King.
Second.
Seconded by Director Evans. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. That passes unanimously. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to interview candidates for the vacant seat, evaluate the qualifications, and take a vote on the appointment of a candidate to fill the vacant board position. We have 2 candidates to interview for the Board Director District 4 position. We have a list of questions to ask both of the candidates. We have allotted up to 45 minutes per candidate. Once the interviews have concluded, the board will move into executive session, review the candidate qualifications for appointment to the elective office of the Director District 4 position. Superintendent Ovenell will assist in bringing the candidates down. And our first candidate tonight will be Michael Olson. And also, if you haven't got one already, we value your input. So there is a feedback form back there. If you'd like to grab one of those and fill that out as we go along. We would like this information to take with us as we consider the qualifications for the candidates. So your input is valued as always. Okay.
I'll go see Ms. Wilson.
Is the frame back or is there one side for
One side.
each candidate?
Both are on the same
Oh.
page. So. And there's, the candidate is a fifth report Director District 4 because, and areas of opportunities for this candidate. And then at the bottom it says my preferred candidate is.
Okay.
They can check one if they would like.
Good, sure. Let's see some familiar faces.
Good evening, Mr. Olson. I'm Al Schreiber, President of the Board, Director Steve King, Miranda Evans, and Charlotte Murray. Of course, you know our superintendent.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for being here.
So we have a series of questions that we will ask each candidate. And so the first question will come from Director King.
Please explain how your experience is relevant to this position.
Okay. Well, as my letter of interest and my resume probably showed, I've got close to 40 years in public education. Most of that in an administrative capacity, most of which was in a central office capacity. So I had the opportunity to observe some real strong superintendents work with their boards of director to help establish vision and direction for a school district to support students, to support staff, and to integrate with the community. And so all of those experiences really lead me to have this interest. I believe that the board's direction is vital, and having a role of policy governance where each board member and the board as a whole understands the analogy that I've heard is you're at 30,000 feet. Principals at the superintendents at really ground level up and down. Teachers are at ground level and students are at ground level. And so the importance of understanding that the role of the board member is to stay at that place and to offer guidance, suggestions, never direction, other than as a cohesive group, and that direction goes to the superintendent, not to any staff or student, and not to any situation or things. So I believe that's part of it. My other background is people in this room who I noticed their faces. I came in, I was their principal for a few years. My focus has always been on a strong teaching learning component because the core business of schools is student learning. And everything that goes on in the system must be intentional to support that. So the creation of policies to support teachers, to provide appropriate access to curriculum and then materials and opportunities to assess student learning on a formative basis so that there's a real-time understanding of where students are as learners. As a board, to recognize that sometimes some schools and or students need more support than others, and so from an equity perspective, you are directing resources appropriately to make that happen. And let's see, and then I also had opportunity under Dr. Shoemate, as we were entering into the Great Recession, and we were needing to make severe reductions to our district budget. I had the opportunity to be both a principal at Horses Middle School and assistant superintendent of operations. So I had the opportunity to get a flavor of, and as Gene would told me at the time, was if and when you want to be a superintendent, having knowledge of both sides of the house is critically important. So I oversaw technology, food service, terminated a contract with an expensive company, Chartwell's, worked with our transportation director to tighten up some routes, but most especially emergency routes. We were having some issues with being able to have students access appropriate stops that were safe. And anyway, I don't want to get into too much detail, but having that opportunity. And so those experiences give me that opportunity to sit in a position as a board member to provide guidance to board members, Superintendent Ovenel, and be receptive ears to the community that I represent.
Thank you, and thank you for the answers you gave to the questions there and for your resume you provided. Next question we have is, would you please describe your experience serving as a member of a board or some kind of similar organization or experience?
A couple of things. I'm a member of Our Savior's Lutheran Church, and I've had an opportunity there to serve on their council in the role of vice president and president on 3 different occasions. and that the role of church council is similar yet dissimilar from that of the board of directors of the school district. However, in that role, the guidance still existed then. It was to help give guidance to the lead pastor, to help set direction for the church as a congregation, as a body of worshipers, and to move in that direction. Also to serve in other capacities, long-range planning committee member, facilitating that. While this isn't necessarily wasn't a board opportunity, when Dr. Schumann came into the district, we were having a conversation early in July, early in her tenure, and one of the things she asked me, she said, "Hey, could you help me with our strategic planning process?" Well, what that meant was, "Mike, could you lead this?" So I learned from Dr. Schumann that sometimes helping me meant taking on responsibility. So in that regard, it was then marshaling community members and administrators and teaching staff to look at who we were as a system and where we wanted to go as a system and set some long-term 5 to 10 year lofty goals and direction. And I actually had an opportunity to do that twice with Dr. Shoemate. See what else. The only other, when I was assistant superintendent of operations, I had the opportunity to serve as a district representative to the YMCA's property selection committee. And in that role, it was really to have some knowledge that I learned working with our maintenance supervisor at the time about some of the geological features of downtown Stanwood and why that those attributes, while strong in some consideration as being a focal point and a magnet for a neighborhood, the fact that it was underwater caused, and the city wanted to give us some land for hardly anything near Heritage Park. We were able to bring in after my insistence that it was not a smart idea, we brought in the wise regional property person who said, yeah, you could buy it for $1. It's going to cost you close to $10 million to establish it just to be able to build on it. If you want a pool, add $5 million more to that. So, in that role, it was not decision making necessarily, but it was guidance and support. And why I ultimately ended up in the position of the other. I didn't guide. By then, I was no longer assistant superintendent of operations. I was actually assistant superintendent of teaching and learning in a different school district north of here.
Explain how you view the role of a school board director.
As I mentioned earlier, policy governance and that 10,000 foot level. It's to be knowledgeable about the Section 1000s, what is the direction, the policy, the procedures for a board to act as a unit, and for individual board members to act as individual board members. To know that those 1000s really cleanly and clearly. To understand that your primary responsibility is to ensure that nearly Dr. O'Neill on his way, has the resources to support staff and students to have a thriving environment, and so that the elements, the 4 pillars of the strategic plan are able to be put into play, to be visible in the community at school events, to be an ear in the community to find out what concerns, successes, and perceived barriers to the system as a whole, where they're moving, how to then also know the 2000s through 7000s, how each of those series of policies has an impact on the work of teachers, staff members, and also how in the 4000s you're asking the community for collaboration and input and support. So really understanding that, and then knowing that you have a set of lanes that as an individual you need to stay within, and then as a board you need to stay within. And so that director position is integral and important to ensure support and to ensure guidance, and at times to, sometimes in a session with Superintendent Ovenel, raise concerns regarding incidents or events or personalities that are creating conflict, and doing that in that closed session, and bringing it to Ryan Ovenel for him to sit with his cabinet to come up with solutions. If he asks, to give suggestions, but not to give direction, because that we hire Ryan to run the district. Board members are typically elected to represent the constituency and to act as that voice of reason and act as that guide for where as a system we want to go and what the needs of the community are, the needs of students are, needs of staff are, and ensure that those needs are met in a manner that all students are able to graduate with, I'll use a term we use up north, knowledge and skills. I know understanding in an inclusive manner, that they are able to pursue a life of their passion and interests.
Thank you. I see you've seen them, but just because the question I'm going to ask you is two parts, so I just wanted to remind you that you do have the questions in front of you in case you forget what the original question was.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
It says, our district promise states that every student is empowered to learn in an inclusive setting and is prepared for the future of their choice. How would you work to fulfill this promise as a director?
Well, first of all, the promise is a solid one. Because students are coming to the schools from a variety of experiences, backgrounds, and they have a set of interests, a set of aptitudes and attitudes. And the role of the board is to ensure that bus drivers, food service workers, custodians, paras, teachers, and principals act in concert to know that about that student and provide the kinds of tools and resources that student needs to have success. And the role of the board director is not to know that intimately for each student. That's the role of the staff. The role of the board member is to ensure that that is the context and the culture that's extant throughout the system. And that every staff member knows in teaching and learning, it's very clear that the best way to reach a student is to know who they are as an individual, to know what they bring with them into the classroom, to use that knowledge as a tool to motivate, to entice, to encourage. And when I was at operations, assistant superintendent, working with bus drivers to help them recognize that their face is the first face a student sees as they get on a bus, and the last face they see as they get off. And that attitude for starting the day and that attitude for ending the day oftentimes rests with them, because it's a soft, welcoming invitation in, and it's a soft exiting of that student, and then encouraging the student to be at the stop the next morning. And when that's consistent throughout, then the board directors have done their job of ensuring that culture is present. And I think that's the most important role of the board director. The other, again, as I said before, understanding that it's not always the case that a student or a parent perceives that they have that welcoming experience. It's not the role of the board director to solve that for that student or parent. It's the job of the board director to bring it to Mr. Ovenel, who then works with staff to resolve whatever issues cause that perception. So how would I work to fulfill that promise? I think I've addressed that in some of the answers before, but it really is walking and talking that promise in the community. So when I'm at the grocery store, and, you know, your faces are all on the website. So you're probably pretty well known when you go to the grocery store. And so people are going to come up to you and they're going to have some concerns. And you have, the board director has the opportunity to listen, certainly, but then to bring that concern to Mr. Ovenel, but really to encourage that person to, if they feel like they can't and or won't, it's the board director's job to bring it to Mr. Ovenel for that work to get resolved, and however it needs to get resolved. So I'll be honest, it's been nice. I've lived in this community for 28 years, I think. I finally came up here to be principal of Church Creek Elementary. I was certainly known right away. My first visit to Hagen's took me, I think, 3 hours. I said to Julie, well, the first hour was getting the way out of the store. The other 2 were listening as a principal to people's concerns and that sort of thing. So it's been nice the last few years to not have that public face for the system. However, I welcome that. It's an opportunity to get to fully re-engage in the community that we came to. We live just down from the fairgrounds, and so it's always been a pleasure of ours to, well, first of all, my kids, my oldest daughter said at some point in time that you guys promised that if we moved to Stanwood, I could have a pig. Now, we didn't ever remember that, but we got a note for age. She showed pigs, she showed swine at the Stanwood Fair, the fair down the road in Savannah, Stanwood County Fair, Evergreen State Fair. So I got to know a lot of people, even to that way. I coached baseball, I coached softball with my kids. And so I'm not going to do that again, but I've got grandkids here. I had nephews, a nephew and nieces graduate from Stanwood High School. I have one who's a current senior at Stanwood High School. My oldest grandson on the island is at Saratoga, which kind of makes me proud. I don't know if you noticed in my resume, I had the opportunity to work with Shelley Greer to facilitate the opening of Saratoga. It started in an empty portable facility. It's grown to that great building. Monica McDaniel is operating as a lead teacher. And so I'm happy that opportunity exists for him because that's the right place for him. And so and where did that come from? Board director, having a conversation with Dr. Shoemate, and then the cabinet that I was a part of at the time about how can we regain such a large portion of our community of students who don't learn with us. And so Saratoga does that. Parents have the right to homeschool, and the Parent Partnership Program gives them that opportunity. And just as Lincoln Academy was created by an idea from a board member, Roger Myers in a board retreat asked the question, we're having such success with Lincoln Hill High School, why don't we have some from middle school students? And so I was tabbed to facilitate that committee that opened up Lincoln Academy. And so for 20 students, it's a great opportunity to not be part of the comprehensive middle school, a smaller, more intimate environment with which to work. And so as a board director, you have opportunity to make suggestions to create programs to serve students on the margins. And that's a great privilege. And it's one that I would really enjoy the opportunity to engage with. I think I got both parts.
Yep, you nailed it.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, we have an education equity policy that was developed in partnership with our stakeholders, community, and district equity team. What are your views regarding equity, access, and equitable treatment for all students?
Well, I think they're strong. For example, when I was principal at Church Creek, we were beginning to get a population of students with unique needs in the school. We had a life skills program that served students with Down syndrome and also with multiple disabilities, health conditions, that sort of thing. But we're getting students who now are referred to as neurodivergent. And so Dr. Gail Forrest at the time gave the school psychologist, our speech language pathologist, and I operated to sit down and develop a program to meet the needs of those students. And so we developed what Gail called the ASSIST program. And each of those, it's an acronym, and each of those has a meaning, and I don't remember what they each were. But the point was that we were serving a unique set of students in a manner in which we learned how to best do that. And that was more expensive than the model we had, but it served those students more appropriately. When I was in Cedar-Woolley, we had 7 elementary schools, ranging in size from almost 200 students to over 660. I had the opportunity with title and LAP dollars to distribute dollars as needed to schools. So we determined that our 3 in-town schools, which were the largest, that had the most impacted socioeconomically, students would receive all the title dollars. And then they would receive some LAP dollars, but the other LAP dollars went to the other elementary schools, middle school, and high school. And so we were very transparent. All of the principals received the Excel sheet that we developed that showed who got what from which pot. And they understood that they received different dollars on a per pupil basis based upon unique set of needs for students. And so that's an important practice. And it's an important understanding that some students require more needs than others. When I went up to Cedar-Woolley, one of the data points was that fewer than 50% of students were heading off to post-secondary learning. At the same time, the CTE program had only a strong ag program. The welding program was on its last legs. The automotive, it had a 20th century at the time, auto shop, but they weren't being used. That's not empty. And so one of the things we did is we began not just using CTE dollars, because you have to use some basic ed dollars first to start up a program. So the idea was to build out the CTE program for those 52% of students who were not going to college, which most of the program was set up to support. But the need was to support students not going on to college and needing a pathway to living income wages out of high school. And so we built up a number of things. And so the idea was we started to direct resources to that. We, as every district at the time did, spent the money on students with special needs in the manner that students needed, and then hoped that we would get safety net funding for those students in the manner that we spent, understanding that didn't always happen. But it didn't matter, because the important thing was to provide the support to those students who most needed it in the manner that they required. And so that equity, and it goes back to equity is that part of knowing who your students are, intimately knowing who they are, and then providing resources to support them. In a large scale, it's PBIS, it's tiered supports academically. It's tiered supports for social emotional support. I noticed on the board agenda that I think renewed another year panorama and opportunity. One of the great questions that in my work with schools the last 3 years that often they looked at is, what is students' sense of belonging in their school? And when it was low, really those became goals in their annual school improvement plan to ensure that activities were targeted to improve students' sense of belonging. Because if you don't feel emotionally safe at school, you're not in condition to learn. No matter how good the teacher is with the academics, if you're not safe, you're not learning. And so we need to ensure that happens. And so again, it's directing resources when they're needed and giving Ryan the opportunity to make that happen.
I don't want to rush you, but I just wanted to point out that 25 of the 45 minutes I was keeping track. So I just want to make sure we can get
there's
through
more.
all of
I'm
the
sorry.
questions.
I'll
So
slow down. I'll speed up.
I don't want to rush your answers, but I did want to let you know
Sorry.
we've used about half of the time. So.
Thanks for that.
And we are halfway through.
Yes,
Very good.
good.
In your opinion, what is the ultimate goal of the Stanwood-Camano School District?
To ensure that every student graduates, that every student has the necessary tools when they graduate to move into the pathway that they select to be successful. And again, as I mentioned before, going to college, going to the trades, anything, whatever it is that they go into the military, whatever that student desires, they've been equipped to accomplish.
Thank you.
What is your interest in becoming a director? So basically, what is your why?
Well, my why is I'm invested in this community, in this district. You could say my why is my grandchildren. I want them to have the experience that I believe we created for students when I was an administrator here. I think we had a robust system to support students in a variety of manners. That I was able to work in schools with teachers and support staff to ensure that students had that welcoming environment, had that opportunity to learn, had that opportunity to connect with other and to explore talents and interests. They had a rounded experience as learners. I'm proud of some of the things we did at Church Creek that I see elements of still at Upsalati that were rooted in that work. We did a number of things that I'm excited that happened that helped that for students. And so I want that for every child, not just my grandchildren. And, retired K-12 educator. I can't just leave. I had the opportunity to work as an administrator in this district where there were 3 former administrators on the board. And I thought that was powerful. And at that time I thought, well, maybe. Now it seems like this is the right time.
Thank you.
What is your previous involvement in the Stanwood-Camano School District or elsewhere? I feel like you've given us a lot of that already. It's on there, but maybe just what you think are the highlights or the bullet points that you would like the community to be most aware of.
Proud principal of Church Creek in Upsalati in Port Susan. Proud member of the community to have been able to work with students outside of school in SCJAA and Stanwood-Camano Little League, coaching softball, basketball. Director of School Improvement in this district, Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Education. Was unique that I was in that role, and at the time she was Christine Groover. Now she's Christine. Yeah, I know, but I just out of the top of my head. And 3 brand new assistant principals, and to help them become a cohesive team to meet student needs was something that I felt really proud of. And I'll be honest, twice I left schools. I left Upsalati, and the year after I left, they became a school of distinction recognition, which was for the previous 3 years of work. After I left Port Susan, they were recognized as a school of recognition and distinction, which was for the previous 3 work. But what was most unique in that last one was the State Board of Education has an Achievement Accountability Index, and it's not far from what this Washington School Improvement Framework is now. One of the data pieces for Port Susan prior to my arriving there was, and the color was orange, and students who were multilingual and or Hispanic were in the orange as learners. When I left, their achievement moved out of orange to 2 levels up, but their growth became blue, which is the high point, which is why Port Susan was recognized. But with that, in both cases, that happened from the work of the teaching staff to really meet student needs and a collective commitment to make that happen. And I really feel that having had two school staffs that both had that collective commitment was a hallmark. And I don't toot my horn, but you asked, so I'll answer. And some of them are right here.
That's you.
Is there anything you would like to add?
No, as Lynn
Yeah.
suggested, I've been wordy enough.
I didn't suggest that. I just was keeping us on track for time.
I appreciate that.
I did not say those words.
No, you did not say, no. I inferred that. So no, I don't have anything more I'd like to add, I don't think. Other than, I certainly welcome the opportunity and hope that you select me, but I also understand if you don't, it's because you've selected somebody else who you believe fits your needs as a board in a better manner than I can. And it's not a matter of like or dislike, it's a matter of match. And so you're looking for somebody who's going to match the needs that you have as a son of the director. And I hope that I'm that person, but if I'm not, so be it.
Okay, now it's your turn. What questions do you have for the board?
So obviously, somebody stepped away. There's been tension in the board. How do you see yourselves and the new director coming together to be a cohesive support for Ryan Ovenell, the students, the staff, and the community?
Are you asking somebody in particular or the group as a whole, or would you like to hear
Well,
everybody's answer?
I'd love to hear it,
Well,
but I want to be cognizant of time.
well, I for one really want that.
Okay. What was the question?
Everybody's looking at you because you're the president. How do you see yourselves coming together collectively to support students, staff, community?
Yeah, we've had some tensions in some areas in the community here, but I think with the change in superintendent, with Mr. Ovenell here, the board and the whole district staff has begun to come together, and we've always had, all of our decisions are based on what's best for the kids, and that's what we want to keep in front of us all the time. And I think we're coming together and looking at the things we have in common and trying to all move forward to help our kids become the best they can and prepare them for the future of their choice.
Thank you. I heard Steve. Charlotte, you want to add? You want to?
Yeah, I truly believe that I think we are moving in the right direction. And hopefully over this next school year that we will be better at serving everyone in our district with the needs, for all of their needs. So I'm feeling very positive.
I would like to think that moving forward with a board that has two new members on it, the appointed one and then the elected one, we could sort of perhaps do that ground level training that we did when we had two new board members the last time, where we had them come in. We have that sort of boot camp sort of a thing, so everybody's on the same page. We all kind of understand what our roles are, where our lane is, so that we can be constructive and be the board that we are designed to be. Participation in WASDA and events like that, I think, are very helpful. So that's kind of sort of how I envision that moving forward as a board, constructively and positively, would be sort of that reset of, let's go back to the basics of having, I think her name was Val, come in, would be ideal to give us that again, like, here's our basic groundwork of how this goes, and sort of starting over with a fresh slate seems really like a refreshing idea to me, but that's in my perfect world how I see that looking.
It used to be that regions of boards would come together not monthly but quarterly.
We have those stuff.
Okay, you still do this.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We call those board retreats.
No, he means the district area
The district
ones,
area.
the WASDA,
Yeah.
the ones,
Yeah.
yeah.
Bellingham.
Certain board hosts and then.
Yeah, so we're in
rotates.
district area one,
One.
and so it's like Bellingham, Cedar Lily, Granite Falls,
Friday
stuff like
Harbor.
that. Yeah, Friday Harbor, we did trek out to Friday Harbor once.
So, and I don't think they do them quarterly anymore. I think it's like just once a year, so it's
Okay.
usually in the spring.
Mhm.
And I know that you do the WASDA retreat.
Yep, that's in November. There's also, WASDA has created a lot of really great, what do they call them, onboard modules. Yeah, to help with a lot of that. So there's a lot of resources that they didn't have even when I came on the board that I really enjoyed participating in.
And some of that's mandated through RCWs and WACs. with-
Some of it,
Some,
yes. And there are some alternative, like optional ones that are also pretty good.
We're also free to do whatever training
As a board you choose.
comes up that we want. We've had our risk management tool come in and do presentations to us, other groups to help us along the line.
Okay, well, again, I want to thank you for,
Question.
yes.
Reading your long resume,
Uh-huh.
the early part of it, you were at a elementary school and a couple of middle schools. You were teachers there?
I was a teacher at Woodway Elementary
Yeah.
in Edmonds and a teacher at Meadowdale Middle School. My first job was at Lake Stevens Middle School on a leave replacement contract.
Our process this evening, we have one more candidate to interview, approximately 45 minutes. Then we're going to recess into a executive session to discuss evaluations. And we will come back out, and then we will do a vote in public here. And we estimate that would be somewhere around 7:10. So,
I'll watch that on YouTube.
well, we thank you for applying for this position. It's critical we fill it and with a qualified person. And thank you for your resume and the questions you answered. Your time tonight really gave us a good idea of who you are and why we should consider you for the vacant position. So,
Thank you, appreciate that. I can see myself out. I'll walk. I've known this place kind of.
Thanks. If anybody needs to come steal a corner of the table to write their feedback really quick, feel free to come up and do that. I know it's hard writing in your lap.
our next candidate will be Cheryl Case.
I'm having more coffee.
Stacy gets credit.
I'm also one of those people that doesn't sleep, or it doesn't like.
Candidates out there, so whenever we're ready.
We can't ask questions that aren't on the list of questions. She said she's surprised we didn't ask questions about their knowledge of the Open Public Meetings Act. Part of being an elected official is you have to go through OPMA and Public Records Act training after you're elected. So we let the state take care of that training and stuff for us as well. So you don't have to come in with that knowledge. We provide the training for you.
Here's a seat for you. And fresh water, yes.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Cheryl. I'm Al
Hi.
Schreiber.
Hi, Al. How are you?
Good. Director Steve King, Director Charlotte Murray, and Director Miranda Evans, and of course you met our superintendent.
Yes. I can't see you guys with my glasses on, but then I can't see the table with them off, so they're going to go on and on.
We have a series of questions that we ask the same of each candidate.
Okay.
And so we'll start, I think, up top here. Next questions to Charlotte.
So to start off with, please explain how your experience is relevant to this position.
Well, I have my degree is in marketing. I have been working at Hats Off, owned Hats Off, started Hats Off 30 years ago. Originally, with my marketing degree, I did some product development, marketing management. So I'm really kind of not teacher focused. It's all, working out in the community. I have really enjoyed working at or owning Hats Off and talking to all the students and the teachers and the community members as they come in. And I just was really concerned that this position might be left vacant. And I didn't want to see that happen, so I thought I would go ahead and apply and see how it goes. Please describe your experience serving as a member of a board or similar experience. I have not been on a specific board. I have worked in various projects where we have, done like focus groups, worked with the community and represented what that is. As a marketing manager, you identify what requirements are needed for a product, and then you work with the community to bring that to fruition, but I haven't actually worked on a specific board.
Explain how you view the role of a school board director.
Providing feedback and community insight to help the strategic direction of the school district.
Hats Off in Linden like 25 years ago or more.
Yes, I know. We've been in business for, I believe this year is 30 years. We originally did start out in Linden. My husband retired from the military though, and Stanwood was the halfway mark.
30 years ago, and he was stationed at Naval Station Everett, and I would drive back and forth to Linden. And one of the main reasons that we decided to settle in Stanwood was for the school district and the school board, and the fact that there was such great structure and guidance for the students. They knew what to expect.
That really wasn't a question.
Oh, sorry.
But thank you. Our district promise states that every student is empowered to learn in an inclusive setting and is prepared for the future of their choice. How would you work to fulfill this promise as a school board director?
Well, I think that we all, are individuals. I think all of our unique attributes combined is what makes us such a great community. I think that everybody has value, and as the school board member, I would just be focused on ensuring that everybody's voices was heard and, represented to the school board.
We have an education equity policy that was developed in partnership with our stakeholders, community, and district equity team. What are your views regarding equity access and equitable treatment for all students?
Could you repeat that
It's
question?
right in front of you too.
Oh.
But
There's
I'm
the
sure she can.
glasses.
I'm sure she can remember, but just in case it is
Okay.
down there in front of you.
All right.
I'm a reader, not a listener when it comes
There
to
you
stuff
go.
like that. So.
Well, I don't know what my specific views are because I'd have to read the education equity policy. Overall, like I said, I think I answered in the previous question. I think that everybody's view and what we bring to the table is important. Whether that's a student, a community member, a teacher, a board member, I think that they all need to be focused on and considered. But I have not specifically read the education equity policy that Stanwood has. Oh, did you guys send me this and I did not get it?
No,
No.
we just
Oh, okay.
put it in front.
It's just a
No,
surprise
yeah.
questions. Okay.
In your opinion, what is the ultimate goal of the Stanwood-Camano School District?
Education for all of our students, whether they want to go to college, tech, go straight out of school and work in the community. I think it's important, as a community member and a business owner, I've had quite a few high school students who have worked for me. And the ultimate goal is to make sure that they are all provided with a fair education opportunity and the ability to move forward with their next steps on what they want to do with life, whether that is a college education with 4-year, 2-year associates, go straight to work, raise a family, stay at home. I think that all those roles are important for a community, and ensuring that all of our students have those same benefits across the board is the ultimate goal.
Why are you interested in becoming a director?
Again, I really just was concerned that this would be a vacant position and wanted to make sure that there was somebody who was willing to take the time and review the opportunity and be willing to step up and be there for our community.
What is your previous involvement in the Stanwood-Camano School District or elsewhere? I know we've spent a lot of money and you're still working.
Probably not as much as many people think that you've spent there, I guess. We actually don't do a whole heck of a lot with the school. But I have 3 children who all graduated from Stanwood-Camano School Districts. They all started out in the Cedar Home Elementary. They all graduated from there. I now have 6 grandchildren. 5 of them, 3 of them are in the school district now. 2 of them are on their way next year. And then the other one is only 6 months old, so. But I'm just concerned that they are able to enjoy the same opportunities that my daughters enjoyed all these years in the Stanwood-Camano School District, and the successes that they have done.
Is there anything additional you'd like to add?
I don't believe so. You know, I have heard various things about this position. I do have some concerns, but I don't think that they are anything that can't be overcome.
Do you have any questions for us?
I do not have any specific questions for you.
No?
No. This is the only position currently open, correct?
So this is the only position being appointed. There is a position that will be on the November ballot
Okay.
that people had to apply for to be on that ballot in May. But this position was vacated outside of their outside of the election and in midterm. So this one is appointed, and it is appointed until the following election cycle, which would be 2027.
Right. So I guess my concern is I believe that there's quite a few of you who are ending in 2025. Is that?
Charlotte and I were up for election this
Okay.
year, and after 12 years, I'll be retiring. Charlotte will be
Congratulations.
continuing her seat there. But
Okay.
in addition to the board positions, we do have a lot of other areas where we invite community involvement and input on our academic advisory committee, our budget advisory committee, our facilities advisory committee, and other groups that we have operating in here, booster clubs and PTAs and things. So, and we use a lot of volunteers in our schools. So,
And there was some mention of off-site training and meetings, to make yourself available for those. About how many of those do you have per year?
So we go to WASDA, which is in November, and that's usually a Thursday through a Saturday. There is sometimes it's a Wednesday for a pre-law, or if you go to the board boot camp and stuff like that. So there's that we go to annually. School districts are broken into district areas. So we're district area 1. Our district area usually has one meeting where they get together in person at one of the districts. And as Director Murray pointed out earlier, it's usually in the spring. A lot of our other trainings and stuff are available online. So you kind of do those online as they're available to you. We do host or have I guess we're calling them board retreats now, or study sessions outside of our regular board meetings. But honestly, every year and every sort of month is a different. So the most common question I usually get is how much time does this take?
That was my next question.
Yeah,
How much time are you doing?
1 month it could be legit just the 2 hours for the 2 board meetings. And 1 month it could be 12 hours because we have a ton of things. And 1 month it's a whole week because it's WASDA and a bunch of other things. So there really isn't. I will say the spring gets really busy when you're trying to attend end of season things and end of school,
And stuff, and so that would be the other piece of that would be not just the, there is an expectation to, attend different events around the district to have that involvement and be seeing that firsthand as well, because that brings a different perspective to the role you're in.
Okay. Would you say that you spend most of your volunteer hours in the evening, the morning, during the day, weekends?
I think we fairly negotiate that. We go back and forth, because it's the preference is not the same for every director on the board. So we try to do a decent job of negotiating best available times for the most people. So
And also spreading the opportunities around, because like we go, and sometimes there'll be a morning where two of us have to be someplace for a meeting to give out an award.
Right.
You know, so there, it doesn't take a lot of time, but it's also, you know, carving out that 30 minutes or whatever before you start your day.
it's probably 50-50 middle of the day stuff and in the evening things. So
What do you enjoy most about being on the school board?
are you asking one particular person, or would you like us to
I
go
would like
around the
just
horn?
a quick from all five of you if possible. What do you enjoy most about being on the school board?
Working with the superintendent.
He is very nice.
I would agree with that, but handing out the diplomas to the kids as they graduate, that's always.
That's very
great
exciting.
thing.
Okay, I like that.
Helping create opportunity for our students.
Okay,
I would say, yeah, building between the community and the students, and like seeing things that you were at the beginning of and how they sort of transpire, and you can see the positive things into
excitement.
like how something that you were on the ground level for, and how you get to see that grow. So I would say like the growth of our students and our stakeholders in our community. It's my favorite thing.
I love that.
It's always up to the board how they want to structure their meetings, if they're all evenings or daytime, but most of us have jobs, you know, that we work at. And we also have to consider our staff, because they come down, do reports, and make them come back in the evening.
I felt
sometimes.
bad. Bruce had to stay late to let me in.
I'm sure she was on to something else too, so.
Okay.
So, our process now, we've interviewed both candidates now, so we're going to recess into an executive session and evaluate these, have a discussion for about 30 minutes, and then we'll come back out front here and we will take action in public.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I can walk back with you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you to everybody in the background. Thank you. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of it.
So we will be recessing into an executive session.
We said for 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, it was on the schedule. Why don't we say we will reconvene at 6:30? That sound good?
Yep, 6:30 is next.
So can we do that?
We can.
Even though, because it's.
Because we posted, sorry.
Time to see it.
What? I thought we could go in early as long as we announced that it's here. But we can't, because we put the time on there, we can't. Do we always have to put the time on this? Can't just announce it in here, somebody's. That's.
We'll go into executive session, how long it is, and then if we get back earlier, they can always come out and extend it.
But we have to hold on and come back until the pre-announced time. I think you said we do.
I think once we announce it, going into it.
No, it's okay. I thought we could be, like, I know that once you announce it, you have to stay in until you announce it, and I thought we could, like, change the time over here.
I'm not sure.
Because we used to have on the agenda, they had the, like, time slots down the side, and we never followed, like, they never, you know.
Lincoln's communication is an audit is what I used to.
So hot.
Yeah.
The question is,
It was fun.
we're done now, we wanted to go into executive session.
I'm not arguing one way or the other. Like, I know we can go in early. Yes. I just thought we could change the time.
to seven members.
I'm just not certain of that.
Agenda 17.
Well,
It says that we're not.
The agenda's 17. Let me confirm.
Yeah, if we can change it in the meeting, or if we have to wait until the 7:10.
Give me a. Yeah, we can.
Well, we're early, so we can sit out here and wait to
Let's do
convene
that.
until
Be
we
right
can
back.
get an answer.
yeah.
We'll just sit quietly and stare at each other. It'll only be weird. It's only weird if you make it weird, right?
Yeah, okay. Don't make it weird.
Don't make it weird. It's only weird if you make it weird.
Might be more Public Records Act than Robert's Rules.
Because our policy says we use Robert's rules.
So basically, we just need to make a motion to amend the agenda to say that the agenda we're gonna do until 6:30 or whatever. Well, I Googled it and then it gave me that answer. Yeah, that's what under the Robert's Rules of Order, that's what it says.
Amend the agenda at the beginning, but we can also.
You sure can, yeah. Yeah.
And so we're all four of us here, we can vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right, I will now entertain a motion to amend our agenda to review candidates' qualifications for appointment at elective office, director, district number 4 until it now says 7:10, and we will amend that to read 6:30. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Director King. All those in favor of amending our agenda to change the executive session time from 7:10 to 6:30 ending. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right, that passes unanimous. We are now going to recess to executive session until 6:30. We'll be back at 6:30.
We will come out if we need more time, but.
Yeah.
I was to take a drink and I got plastic in my mouth. This little lip wants it.
That concludes the board's executive session. Okay. We want to thank the candidates who applied for the position. We're going to take action on the appointment of this position, so I will entertain a motion to appoint someone as the director of Director District Number 4 for the remainder of the term for the next election.
I would like to make a motion to appoint Michael Olson to that position.
Second.
Director Evans moved and Director King seconded. All those in favor?
No, have to take a roll call vote.
Yeah. So this is voting on appointing Michael Olson as the director for District 4. So Director Schreiber votes yay. Director King,
Yes.
Director Evans,
Yes.
Director Murray.
Yes.
That makes it unanimous. And Michael Olson will be the new director from Director District 4, and we will swear him in at the next meeting on September 16th.
And you will call in for him?
I will call both candidates tonight
Perfect.
and let them know and thank them for applying.
And there being no further business, the September 2nd, 2025 special board meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all. It's been a long